My name is Lena Hart, and I'm 29. The Sunday my boyfriend announced he had a work conference, I watched a version of myself step out of my own skin, the one who smiles, nods, and lets benefit of the doubt pick the lock to her peace. He had his suitcase open on our bed, the good one with the quiet wheels, blazers, charcoal slacks, a garment bag clipped to the side. Normal, careful packing. Then my gaze slid to the dresser where a glossy boutique bag waited like a punchline. Inside, silk boxer briefs that cost more than our electric bill, a cologne he'd never worn, and, tucked beneath the tissue, a slim, matte black box of just in case that read like just in someone else's room. New look for the board, Mason? I kept my voice easy, joking adjacent, the kind of tone that gives a liar an exit ramp if he wants it. He didn't take it. It's a confidence thing, he said, rolling socks into perfect little wheels, presenting to the regional team in Orlando. Long days. Which hotel? I asked, still light. He zipped the garment bag. Corporate handles it. Same place as last quarter. He'd never been to Orlando last quarter. I poured water I didn't drink. What are you presenting? New trial numbers. He was always vague when he should have been precise. A pharmaceutical sales rep who could sell a desert humidifier, suddenly allergic to details. On which drug? I smiled. I kept smiling even when something low and mean coiled in my chest. He tied his shoe like it had personally offended him. The arthritis one. We didn't make eye contact. He kissed my hair, thanked me for being supportive, and asked if I could grab his phone charger. In the kitchen, I set the charger down and stared at my hands. My grandmother used to say a lie is a room with a slanted floor. Everything you said in it rolls to one corner. I could feel the roll, new gym routine at odd hours, the phone that now lived face down, the sudden need for silk under a wool suit. I rested my palm on the cool counter until my heartbeat slowed to something that sounded like me again. Back in the bedroom, his laptop sat open, signed into his company email. I hadn't checked anything of his in our 2 years together. I didn't check it now. I used the phone number on the company website, navigated the Sunday auto directory, and left a voicemail at Diane's extension. His boss. Polite, apologetic. I wanted to surprise him with flowers at the hotel. Could she confirm which one for his conference? I left my number, thanked her, and hung up. Mason's smile in the mirror looked too careful. Sorry I'm snappy, he said over the whir of the hairdryer. Just stressed about the deck. What time's your flight? 6. He checked his reflection, like it would tell him if I believed him. I'll Uber at 4. Text me when you land. Of course. A kiss on my cheek. Perfume of new cologne he hadn't opened yet, like a rehearsal for a role he hadn't earned. Monday at 9:02 a.m., my phone rang. Hi, Lena. This is Diane. You asked about Mason's hotel. I'm confused. The pause was kind. There's no conference this week. Mason requested personal time. For a heartbeat, relief. Not because he hadn't lied, he had, but because now the slanted room had a door I could walk straight through. I must have mixed up the dates, I said, measuring each word. Sorry to bother you. No bother. Is everything all right? It will be. I thanked her and ended the call. The apartment was too quiet for the amount of noise inside me. I did what I do when a storm's coming. I made a list. Then I made 3 more. Locksmith, boxes, storage code, photograph the condition of the apartment, photograph what I pack, label everything. Do not editorialize. At 2:14 p.m., Mason texted, leaving for airport soon, going to crush this presentation. You've got this, I replied, and the words tasted like pennies. Text me when you land. At 4:20 p.m., I met the locksmith in the hall. Lost my keys, I said, which was true. I had lost the keys to a life where love needed me to play dumb. $220 later, the tumblers answered to a new song. I packed quietly. I folded his shirts the way he liked them, sleeves tucked just so. I wrapped his colognes in bubble wrap, even the new one. I labeled every box like a kindness I didn't owe. Shoes, suits, gym, bath, desk, M.S.E. His Peloton took both of my arms and most of my patience, but I muscled it into a dolly and rolled it to the building storage room. B12. I wiped sweat with the hem of a t-shirt that still smelled like him, then put it in the misc box, like a specimen of a vanished animal. At 7:31 p.m., his text arrived. Landed, heading to hotel. Presentation tomorrow afternoon. Might explore tonight. Explore. The word vibrated like a tone only I could hear. I typed 3 different messages and deleted them. The 4th one didn't shake. Mason, Diane called me back. There's no conference. You took PTO. So wherever you are and whoever you're with, I hope the new confidence kit performs. Your things are in storage room B12. Code 4829. Do not come to the apartment. I changed the locks. We're done. I looked at it a long time, at the life before and after those sentences. Then I hit send. Then I powered off my phone and set it face down on the counter like a small tombstone. I didn't cry. I took a shower hot enough to peel the day off my skin and sat on the bath mat until the fan cleared the mirror. When my reflection returned, she looked like someone I used to be, 3 versions ago. She looked tired and precise. She looked like she could survive this. Sleep didn't come. A kind of clarity did. I took a notebook from the drawer and wrote the bones of a timeline while the city settled outside. Sunday, conference revealed. Boutique bag discovered. Monday, 9:02 a.m. Diane confirms no conference. PTO requested. 4:20 p.m. Locks changed, receipt filed. 7:31 p.m. Landed, text from Mason. 7:35. 5 p.m. Breakup, storage message sent. Evidence secured. Photos of boxes, cereals, video of hallway during pickup window. To set up later. I underlined evidence twice, not because I plan to use it, but because people who lie build stage sets and then demand you applaud the craftsmanship. I don't clap for illusions. In the kitchen, I made tea. I didn't drink and stood in the doorway of our bedroom, watching the empty rectangle where his suitcase had been. I tried to summon all the nights it had felt easy, pasta on Sundays, his dumb running jokes, the plant he overwatered like it was his job. Those memories showed up, dutiful and soft, and then they stepped aside for the others, the recalibrated gym times, the new passcode on his phone, the way he said, "You're overthinking," when what he meant was, "Don't think." At some point after midnight, I slept hard enough to dream of an airport where every gate led back to my front door. In the dream, the door was always unlocked, but I never went inside. When I woke, the apartment had the clean quiet of after. I turned my phone back on. The screen lit up in a rash of missed calls and messages. His name, his mother's, a number I didn't recognize. I didn't open any of them. Not yet. I made eggs. I ate half. At 9:07 a.m., the unknown number called again. I let it ring out, then listened to the voicemail. A woman's voice, the kind that sounds practiced at being obeyed. "Lena, this is Patricia, Mason's mother. I don't know what you think you're doing, but this is unacceptable. Call me back." I saved it without listening twice. Then I opened the Notes app and wrote another line on the timeline. Tuesday a.m. VM from Patricia. Tone. Reprimand. Content. Boundary test. I had the sense of something gathering. A weather system. An audience. An old pattern reasserting itself. I pictured Mason in a hotel room that wasn't booked by a company, rehearsing a story that could be swapped out like a tie. I needed space. I was planning a surprise. You're paranoid. It's abusive to change the locks. Different costumes, same script. I rinsed my plate, set it on the rack, and felt the smallest, sharpest flicker of gratitude. Not for any of this. For the quiet moment right there at the sink in the life that was mine again. Clean dish, dry rack, air that didn't smell like a lie. Then I opened his first message. It began with, "You overreacted," which is how people start when they want you to disbelieve your own eyes. I didn't reply. I didn't have to. The slanted room had lost its tilt. Everything was exactly where I'd placed it. Part 2. The spin cycle. By Tuesday afternoon, my phone had become a museum of manipulation. Every missed call, every unread text, each one another exhibit in a hall of blame. The first few messages from Mason started polite. "Lena, what the hell is going on? Why are my things in storage? This isn't funny." Then, "You can't legally change the locks. I'm calling the police." By noon, his tone shifted again. "Please, just talk to me. I didn't cheat. I was planning something for us." It always fascinated me how quickly guilt rebrands itself as victimhood. I kept my phone on silent and worked from the kitchen table, half listening for the knock I knew was coming. It arrived at 3:27 p.m. 2 firm raps, then the pause of someone rehearsing authority. "Ms. Hart?" The uniformed officer stood in the doorway, posture neutral. "We got a call from a Mr. Mason Grant about an alleged unlawful eviction." I gestured toward the neat folders on the counter. "He's not on the lease. Never was. He stayed here as my guest." The officer flipped through his notes. "He says he's lived here 2 years." "As my guest," I repeated. "He receives no mail here. He's not on the utilities. His belongings are packed safely in storage room B12. I provided the access code. I have documentation." The officer's eyes softened. A man who'd heard this story too many ways. "Seems like a civil matter," he said finally. "Not criminal. I'll note you cooperated." "Thank you." When he left, I locked the door behind him. The sound of the deadbolt sliding home felt like punctuation. 5 minutes later, my phone lit up with another name, Patricia Grant, Mason's mother. "Lena," she said the moment I answered, her voice brisk and maternal in the way that assumes you'll yield. "I'm just trying to understand why you would do something so cruel." "He lied to me, Patricia, about a work conference that didn't exist." "That's ridiculous," she snapped. "He was planning something special, a surprise trip for your anniversary." "What kind of surprise requires filing PTO and buying new silk boxers?" "You're twisting things," she said, defaulting to the family script. "He's been under enormous stress." "Then he should have said that," I said softly. "Not Orlando, not conference, not presentation." There was a pause, then a sigh, the kind that means you've been added to the difficult woman list in someone's mind. "I hope you can live with yourself," she said, and hung up. I could, easily. By evening, the story had already started to mutate. A friend texted, "Mason says he was at a mental health retreat." Another, "Wait, wasn't he in Miami for a conference?" The rumors braided themselves into a rope of contradictions. I watched, detached, as he tried to climb it back to credibility. At 8:42 p.m., an unknown number texted, "Hey, this is Danica. Please don't freak out. Mason just wanted me to explain." His ex, of course. The same Danica who'd accidentally liked one of his gym selfies last month. The same one whose name he swore meant nothing. I read the rest. "He didn't cheat. We were all in Miami for a friend's thing. He thought it would be funny to surprise you. He didn't know it'd look this bad." I stared at the word funny until it lost all shape. Funny is when someone hides behind a door with a cake, not when they lie about a city. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened my notes app again. Tuesday, 3:27 p.m. Police visit. Confirmed civil matter. 3:45 p.m. Call from Patricia. Tone. Condescending. Content. Misunderstanding. 8:42 p.m. Text from Danica. Content. Justification. Pattern. Collective gaslighting. Attempt to reframe deceit as surprise. Before bed, I backed up my notes to the cloud and emailed them to myself. I wasn't paranoid. I was organized. Wednesday morning brought a new tactic. An email from Mason titled, "Let's Talk Like Adults." "Lena, you're making a mistake. You've embarrassed both of us. There was never anyone else. I just needed time to think. The lingerie and the cologne were for you. You would have known if you'd trusted me." I could almost see the smirk in the phrasing. If you'd trusted me. The quiet rewriting of history, turning my clarity into a flaw. That afternoon, I received a call from an unknown number, this time a woman named Officer Reyna. "Ms. Hart," she said, "Mr. Grant's mother contacted us again, claiming you're withholding his personal property." I smiled into the receiver. "Everything's in storage. I have photos, timestamps, and access details. Would you like me to email them?" "That won't be necessary," Reyna said, her tone dry. "Just making sure you're aware." I thanked her and hung up. By nightfall, Mason's tone had shifted once more, from self-pity to performance. He sent me a photo of his hotel balcony overlooking neon lights and wrote, "You'd love it here if you weren't so dramatic." That's the thing about some men. They mistake boundaries for theatrics. They perform calmness like it's proof of innocence. Thursday, I decided to give him a window, 6:00 to 8 p.m. He could collect his boxes from the storage room, no confrontation needed. I sent one final text. "You may pick up your belongings tonight between 6 and 8. Any attempt to enter the apartment will be considered trespassing." His reply came fast. "You're insane. This is still my home." Don't test me. You'll regret this. Each line was a little less like love and a little more like possession. I took a deep breath, screenshot everything, and forwarded it to my lawyer friend. Her reply came 10 minutes later. Document everything. He's spiraling. Good call on storage. By late afternoon, the messages stopped. The quiet should have felt peaceful, but it had an edge, like the stillness before a storm. I set up my spare webcam near the apartment door, angled toward the hall, and pressed record. If the storm came, I wanted lightning on camera. Part 3. Doorway and Doorway Out. Thursday evening unfolded like a slow heartbeat, the kind that warns you something is about to go wrong. At 5:45 p.m., I grabbed my coat, slipped out the side exit, and walked to a cafe 2 blocks away. The webcam was already recording. My stomach felt like it was filled with live wires. 6:02 p.m., a notification blinked on my phone. Motion detected at the apartment door. I opened the app. The grainy feed showed Mason standing in the hallway, flanked by his mother Patricia and his older brother Kyle. They had a U-Haul parked at the curb, hazard lights blinking like impatient eyes. Mason tried his old key first. When it didn't work, he stepped back, muttered something sharp, and hit the door with his palm. Patricia's voice carried even through the tinny mic. "This is ridiculous. She can't just lock you out like this." Kyle crouched down, pulled a thin metal pick from his jacket pocket. He was actually trying to break in. My pulse spiked, but my hands were steady. I called 911. "There's an attempted break-in at my address," I said, keeping my voice level. "I have a live video feed showing the suspects in the act." The operator asked if I was safe. "Yes," I said, "for once." By 6:18, flashing blue lights washed over the hallway. The feed caught the exact moment Mason turned toward the approaching officers, hands raised in indignant surprise. He pointed at my door like it had personally betrayed him. "This is my apartment. My girlfriend locked me out." One of the officers checked the lease paperwork I'd left taped to the inside window. "Sir, your name's not on this lease. You've been asked not to return." "She packed my stuff," Mason shouted. "She can't do that." "Actually, she can," the officer said flatly. "If you're not on the lease, she's allowed to remove your belongings and give you access to retrieve them. You're doing yourself no favors by trying to break in." Patricia started to argue, but the officer cut her off with a tone that meant he'd hit his quota of parental indignation for the day. They were told to leave immediately. One officer even helped load a few boxes from the storage room into their truck. At 6:40, the hallway emptied. By 7 o'clock, silence. I exhaled for the first time in what felt like hours. It wasn't triumph. It was something smaller, like finally exhaling after holding your breath underwater too long. At 7:12, my phone buzzed. A new text from Mason. "You called the cops on me? Are you insane?" I typed, then deleted, then typed again. "You tried to break into my home." He replied almost instantly. "It's my home too." "Not anymore." Then came the last message. "You have no idea who you're messing with. You'll regret this." I didn't reply. I saved the screenshots, uploaded them to the same folder as the video footage, and closed the lid on my laptop. Friday morning, the storm took a new form. Public. A friend texted me a link to Mason's Instagram post, a photo of him in his hotel room, face pained and heroic, captioned, "Sometimes the person you'd take a bullet for is the one holding the gun. Grateful for those supporting me through this abusive situation. The truth always comes out." The comments section was a circus. Half of them were sympathy emojis and "stay strong, bro." The other half were curiosity, confusion, or quiet skepticism. My favorite comment was from his coworker, Rachel. "Wait, weren't you supposed to be at a conference this week?" The post disappeared within an hour. Screenshot saved. By afternoon, I got an email from him. The subject line, "You've gone too far. You're ruining my life over nothing. I didn't cheat. I didn't lie. You're making me look insane. I hope you're happy." I read it once, twice. Then I noticed the CC line. His mother was included. So was Danica. He'd looped them both in, trying to prove what, exactly? That I'd caught him too efficiently? Instead of replying, I forwarded the email to my lawyer friend with a note. "Documented escalation involving third parties." She wrote back in less than a minute. "Perfect, stay silent, keep collecting." That night, I dreamed I was standing in front of a door that never stopped locking itself. Each time I found the right key, the lock changed shape. When I woke, I realized it wasn't a dream. It was just how it had felt being with him. Saturday morning. Another shift. No rage this time, just syrupy apology. "I'm sorry, Lena. I lost control. I'm just hurt. I love you." We can fix this. Please don't destroy what we had. I stared at his words for a long time, remembering how easily he'd rewritten history before. I could almost hear the next step in his logic. If you don't forgive me, you're cruel. If you do, it proves I wasn't wrong. I replied once, short and clean. I'm not destroying anything. I'm protecting it from you. Then I blocked his number. Sunday, I thought it might finally be over. It wasn't. At 11:17 a.m., the front desk called. Ms. Hart, there's someone asking for you in the lobby. I froze. Who? Your ex-boyfriend, the receptionist whispered. He's crying? By the time I got downstairs, security was already involved. Mason was sitting on the lobby couch, talking loud enough for everyone to hear. I just need to talk to her. She abandoned me when I needed help. Every head turned when the guards escorted him out. My boss stood by the elevator, arms crossed, eyebrows raised. I could feel my reputation dissolving under fluorescent light. That night, I sat on my couch, drained and silent, staring at the blue glow of my computer screen. And that's when something inside me clicked. If Mason wanted to make this public, then public was what he'd get. Not with drama, not with rage, with facts. Part 4. The Ledger of Truth and Aftermath. That night, I opened a blank document and titled it in all caps. Facts only. No commentary, no anger, just evidence. Each line, a nail in the coffin of his narrative. Screenshot. Diana's voicemail confirming no conference existed. Screenshot. Mason's PTO approval email. Photo. Boutique bag contents. Silk, black, and brand new. Text thread. His denial. Threats. Mental health retreat. Bachelorette party. Video clip. Attempted break-in with his brother. Screenshot. Instagram post claiming abuse, followed by coworker Rachel's comment. Incident report. Security removal from my workplace lobby. I assembled them chronologically, clean and cold, like a case file. Then I attached the PDF to an email and typed, Subject, for your awareness, to Mr. Thomas Grant, his father. Mr. Grant, I wanted you to have the full picture since Mason keeps changing his story. I'm not asking for anything. I just believe truth should be documented. After this, I'll be blocking all contact. Lena. I hesitated only once, finger hovering over send. Then I remembered the way Mason had looked at me in the lobby, as if humiliation were a currency I owed him. Click. Sent. He called within the hour. Ms. Hart. His voice cracked through the receiver, heavy and older. Is all of this true? Yes, I said quietly. Every screenshot, every timestamp. There was a long pause, just breath and disbelief. Then, softly, we suspected. We hoped we were wrong. Suspected what? I asked. That this wasn't the first time. He sighed, sounding like a man finally admitting something to himself. His last girlfriend, same story. Work trip that wasn't. We thought he'd grown out of it. The silence that followed wasn't awkward. It was heavy. The sound of an illusion, collapsing in two households at once. I'm sorry, Lena, he said. You didn't deserve any of it. By Monday morning, the fallout began. Mason's parents cut him off financially. Turns out those maxed out credit cards in Miami? They weren't his, they were his parents. He'd been living on their dime while saving his salary in secret. His brother Kyle texted me a week later, apologizing for the lock-picking thing. Said Mason told him I'd stolen a family heirloom, a piece of jewelry that, it turned out, had been pawned months ago. Then there was Danica, the ex. She sent a single message. He told me you two were already broken up. I didn't reply. Some people need to meet the same fire twice before they stop reaching for the match. Through the grapevine, I heard about the professional repercussions. His boss, Diane, had to document the fake conference situation during quarterly reviews. He wasn't fired, but he lost his bonus and his travel privileges. HR now required all sales reps to provide verification for off-site events. An entire policy rewrite thanks to one man's web of lies. Karma, rebranded as compliance. Weeks later, my apartment finally felt like mine again. The air smelled like clean sheets instead of cologne. My plants started thriving, which felt poetic. I even caught myself humming while making coffee. A small miracle. I started therapy. My therapist said something that stuck. Abusers gaslight to distort memory. Survivors document to preserve truth. One erases, the other restores. That's what the timeline had become. Not revenge, but restoration. A record that said, I was here, I saw clearly, and I chose myself. Then, one ordinary Tuesday, a LinkedIn notification popped up. Mason Grant wants to connect. The audacity almost made me laugh. I hit block before the page even finished loading. Sometimes, late at night, I still replay the first scene in my head. The open suitcase, the silk, the easy lie. It's strange how betrayal doesn't sound like thunder. It's quieter, like a click of a lock changing position, or the faint buzz of a phone lighting up with a truth you already knew. If I've learned anything, it's this. You don't need to shout to reclaim your peace. You just need to close the door and mean it. So, if someone ever scoffs and calls you paranoid for noticing the details, the hidden bag, the changed tone, the sudden need for confidence clothes, remember this? You're not crazy. You're observant. And observation is how women survive the kind of men who call their deceit misunderstanding. My story doesn't end in revenge. It ends in silence. The good kind. The kind where the air feels light and the mirror finally reflects someone you recognize again. And that's enough.